рідна земля мати. Господь, Отець наш Небесний. Благословіть. Благословіть! Я йду знищувати! Ворогів землі рідної! Вбив моїх братів! Гвалтівників моїх посадок! Нехай рука моя буде твердою! Щоб вбивати ворогів! Нехай око моє буде ясним! Щоб вбивати ворогів! Нехай зброя моя буде справною! Щоб вбивати ворогів! Нехай воля моя буде сталь! Щоб вбивати ворогів! Україно! Рідна земля мати! Господь, Отець наш Небесний! Благословіть! Наш рішучий наступ! Нашу священну помсту! Нашу святу перемогу!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Spartan News. I'm the Spartan. It's September 11th. It's a sad anniversary date to anybody listening now or in the future who either lost somebody on 9/11 or was affected by it. My heartfelt condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to you. I think everybody knows where they were on that day when it happened, and it's a sad memorial. And on the flip side, it's good that there's the Western Alliance and people in a country like Ukraine that are fighting against hate and tyranny and that sort of thing to hopefully make the world a better place and avoid something like that happening again in the future. So that being said, let's get right into it. I don't think it'll be... I've got a lot of video clips, a lot of interesting clips tonight. We'll see how long the stream takes. To start off with, as always, we'll briefly go over the Russian military losses over the last 24 hours. It was 580 men, 6 tanks, 12 APVs, 28 artillery pieces. The artillery pieces just keep it on. It's at some point, they're going to run out. I promise you, they're going to run out of artillery pieces. 3 anti-aircraft warfare systems, which is fantastic. And like I said in yesterday's stream, the UAVs are typically, the drones are typically 24 hours delayed from what you see the Ukrainians shoot down versus what's captured, sort of captured in the stats and confirmed and that sort of thing. Still sitting on 2 Kerch bridges. I'd like to get that up to 3 fairly soon, if possible, and just shy of $83.5 billion in Russian military losses. There's a complex bunch of calculations that have gone into all those various losses. Some of them are basically averages of the types of tanks or the types of equipment that they have and the average cost. And then every once in a while, when something expensive is lost, like when the Kinjals are lost, or the $200 million anti-aircraft warfare systems, that sort of thing, then I'll manually add those in as well because they're not accurately captured in the averages. So it's not an exact science, but it tells you roughly where they stand. Okay, so going into the news of the day, and start off with the what's in the thumbnail, and it turns out that the Russians have been busy little targeters. We know that in the recent past, since the start of the conflict, they've been pushing the boundaries and targeting, harassing, that sort of thing. But then over the last 6 months plus, they've really ramped it up, taking out U.S. or NATO surveillance drones, harassing, firing on a British surveillance plane in the Black Sea. In my opinion, launching an errant missile into Poland, which killed 2 farmers, and then 2, if not 3, Shahed drones have crashed into the Romanian countryside. No civilians have been injured or killed, but the last one was closer to a populated area. And now what we have is, and this is slightly dated, but because of the fact that we just heard about it today, it's considered new. The UK says that Russia targeted a civilian cargo ship in the Black Sea. The Russian military targeted a civilian cargo ship in the Ukrainian Black Sea port of Odessa on August 24th, the UK Foreign Office said, citing newly obtained intelligence. Ukraine's air defense shot down all Russian missiles heading towards the port, which included 2 Kalibr missiles launched from a Black Sea fleet carrier, according to the report. The intelligence reportedly shows that Russia's intended target was a Liberian-flagged ship docked at the port. I don't know if anything else has been added. No, nothing else since then. So this is, in my mind, this is what happens when you allow someone like Russia to kind of run roughshod over international norms, target target NATO countries, target civilian ships, board civilian ships, target Romanian border, the Ukrainian-Polish border. They're the lowest common denominator. They have the worst equipment, the worst maintained equipment, cheap replacement parts going into them, and undertrained, underpaid people that are programming the coordinates for these cruise missiles and drones. So you're basically relying on somebody to put in the proper GPS coordinates into a Kalibr cruise missile targeting system or into a Shahed drone, and praying that they don't enter in the wrong coordinate. You're trusting that your ship's captains, submarine captains, fighter pilots, etc., are all going to go through a proper sort of triaging of targeting before they fire on a target or a person or something. So anyways, that's it's just playing with fire, and eventually it's going to come back and bite us. And I always wonder about what we don't know about. What has Russia done so far that the Western intelligence knows about and hasn't reported because it's escalatory? I'm going to stay in the Black Sea, and I think the first one we're going to go to is no, we're going to do this one. Yes. So there's been a lot of videos and a lot of news coming out, clips, intelligence, that sort of thing. And obviously the Ukrainians are very pleased to let everybody know that they've captured the Boyka Towers, which are a couple of oil rigs in the Black Sea. They were previously held by the Russian Federation. The Russians were using them as sort of intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, staging areas. And now the Ukrainians have taken them back and are doing the exact same thing. So to start off with, excuse me.
З бойових виходів російському винищувачу Су-30
One sec. I'll restart that so you can catch the closed captioning. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't copyrighted music. So this is a nighttime silhouetted picture of one of the rigs that they've taken control of recently.
Під час одного з бойових виходів російському
I will read it too in case anybody's listening to this. During one of the combat assignments, Russian fighter Su-30 finally... Oh, yeah, sorry. I apologize. This is exactly what this is. So some of you may have seen the drone footage of the Ukrainian boats doing like S-curves in the water and trying to avoid what was a Russian fighter plane. If anybody watched the sort of extended version, the HD version, then you would see that the Russian plane strafed the boats, dropped a bomb into the water, and then one of the boats fired off an anti-aircraft missile. I'm not sure if it was a Stinger. But anyway, so this is actually the footage from inside one of those ribs, one of those boats, as that particular battle is taking place. And this is just around the time that they were getting ready to take control of the oil rigs and also take out the S-400 on the western coast of Crimea. So here we go. To find our fighters on boats in the open sea.
посеред відкритого моря. Зав'язується бій.
The battle ensued. There's the rig. There's one of the other boats. Looks like they've got 3 boats. Okay. There's the plane right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think what they say it was an Su-30. And I literally have not watched this to the end, so I do not know if we see the anti-aircraft missile fired. Oh, we hear it. You see it? Right there. This jet is targeting the 3 boats. It's fantastic footage. I will tell you the fun fact, a silly fact, whatever. When I was in the military, we actually went through, I don't know if you want to call it a training course or just a. Anyways, one of our instructors basically said it was possible if a jet was flying low enough to take out a jet with an assault rifle. And he kind of quizzed us on how we would do that, and then not too many people believed that it was possible. And he said it's not likely, but it's possible. And he basically said what you need to do. He said you will have a very difficult time judging the speed of a jet plane. So what you want to do is, if it's low enough where your rounds could actually hit it, you want to aim your rifle well ahead of it. Multiple people aim your rifles well ahead of it and just fire straight up in the air and let the jet come into the stream of the bullets. And he said you may get lucky. And so we kind of we went, without firing live rounds, we went through some practice runs on that, and he said it was kind of a fun thing to do. But anyways, it's possible.
Російський літ
Okay, so there we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, geez, it looks like 5 boats. I don't think I've seen this wide pan before with the 5
так
boats.
намагається уразити наші катери гарматним та ракетним вогнем.
So the Russian plane is trying to hit the boat with guns and missiles. I don't know if it was a missile or if it was a dumb bomb. I thought at one point I thought somebody said it was a dumb bomb that was dropped, but
Наші бійці відкривають вогонь у
our
відповідь
fighters
з
fire
усього
from all
наявного
available
озброєння.
weapons. They are all
Врешті
just...
російський літак вдається
Finally, the
вразити
enemy
із
plane
позиції.
is hit with a man pad. There goes the man pad. There it goes. Beautiful. Now, I know in the... I'm going to stop it right there. Just in the news reports and in the first intelligence reports that came out from this encounter, the Ukrainians claimed that they damaged the plane. They didn't take it down, but they damaged the plane and caused it to turn and head back to base. I'm looking for a puff. Okay, they're all cheering, so they see it. I see something right there, but that's too close to the water, I think. Yeah, that's not it. Okay, I'm gonna do this one more time. And they're pointing over there.
Підбитий, він швидко тікає
Damage
з
that
поля
quickly
бою.
flees from the battlefield. There's a puff in the air where the impact may have been. Right there. I hit the Sioux. It began smoking. The Sukhoi. So there you go. Some of the most intense footage you're going to see. And it's really, really cool. I mean, you would think that 4 to 5 bolts are just going to be completely outgunned by a competent fighter pilot with a half-decent plane. Especially if they had any sort of training on sort of strafing runs and that sort of thing, and yet that jet stayed high in the air, didn't hit a single one of the boats, and ended up getting struck itself. If you got 4 to 5 targets and you can't hit one of them, and then you end up getting shot yourself by some special forces folks in some boats, that's says a lot about the training on both sides of the fence. Moving on to this one. So this basically is stating that Russia is gradually losing its military grip over the Black Sea. The Ukrainian commandos returned to control of two stolen oil rigs by Russia since 2014. Their oil and gas, the translation on this isn't fantastic. Their oil and gas extraction rigs and 2 drilling platforms. The Intel Directorate of the Ukraine Ministry of Defense reported today about its late August secret operation with photos. In particular, rigs are Petro Godovanets, and Ukraine, renamed by the occupiers into Crimea 1 and Crimea 2. We'll be changing those names back. The Russians moved them to the Golitsyn gas field 70 miles to the west of Crimea. You look at the map below and you can see where they were moved. Also, commandos disabled the Russian surveillance radars on those rigs and platforms. In addition, they shot down a Russian fighter jet and rescued their comrade who spent 14 hours in the water. So yes, there was another encounter where where a Russian fighter jet fired on a boat, and through the evasive maneuvers, the boat actually ended up losing one of the special operations forces over the side of the boat, and he basically floated, treaded water, whatever, for 14 hours until they could get back and get him. And I saw a small short video clip of them rescuing him. So very cool. And like I said, as I mentioned here, the surveillance radar. So basically the Russians had put surveillance radar, anti-aircraft warfare systems, etc. They'd put it on these oil rigs and use those kind of as a barrier, as a extra set of eyes out in the ocean to notify them when, planes, boats, etc. were going to be approaching the western coast of Crimea. So whatever was left on those oil rigs, the Ukrainians got, and I've got a little more information on that coming up. Anyways, I just thought these were cool photos. Love the silhouette. These are large rigs. Now, what makes me nervous, the Russians might get their back up and their ego's been bruised and might try to take these out, drop a Fab 500 or something on them. So I kind of hope that the Ukrainians, first of all, stay below decks where it's a little bit safer. And second of all, I hope they possibly have it permanently manned with some man pads and other types of anti-ship and anti-air missiles. We'll see. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Love the SOF on the rigs with their flag raised. Here's a couple of the boys. These are large rigs too. And there is the locations. So I believe that's where they were. And then I believe the Russians moved them to here, I think. And then, hooked up in 2014, and then hooked up the underwater pipelines to feed Crimea. I believe that's what happened, but I'm not an expert on that, trust me. And then the last one is, yes. So what we were talking about, what was captured, this is some really good intel work by some open source intelligence gatherers. During the two raids on the oil rigs in the Black Sea, Ukrainian special forces may have captured one of the components of the Russian R-330 M1P diabazole automated jamming complex. So this was an electronic jamming warfare system, right? So it basically jam drones, planes, electronic communications, that sort of stuff. So that basically you park this on an oil rig and turn it on and aim it towards Crimea, and it's supposed to stop communication between, sorry, not towards Crimea, towards like Odessa, and it's supposed to stop communication and jam drones targeting maybe GPS, who knows. But anyways, this is the screen grab from the Department of Intelligence from Ukraine video of the raid, which was made public today. The consigne and I don't know what consigne, I don't know if that's a translation thing, of the box is Unit 60135, which is the 475th Separate Electronic Warfare Center in Sevastopol. But what's even more interesting here is that the consigner, it's Protec ISC, which manufactures just one vital thing for the Russian army, the components of the diabazole automated jamming complex. So I'm trusting them on that because it's in Russian, Cyrillic, whatever. This includes the R330ZH Zytel Electronic Warfare Jamming Communication Station, R934UM, and Altiets AM stations. So these are your electronic jamming warfare systems. Most of the time we also see them truck mounted, but I'm pretty sure they can also be mounted on platforms like this. Well, we've seen the Russians throw a book system on the back of a freaking destroyer, so yes, it can. According to Oryx, Russia lost at least 13 R330ZH and one 934 systems in this war, all of which were destroyed. Whatever component is in the box, it should be brand new. It's fantastic. So there you go. So not much on the speculation. It's pretty much nailed down that they got something, hopefully open box or in relatively good condition. One, it can be sort of reverse engineered, and two, it can be put to use in the Ukrainian military. So moving on, we'll do a counterclockwise again. Lots of interesting news and clips. And I put so many in here, I forgot what some of them are. It's the Russian checkpoint in northern sorry, in, yeah, I guess you want to call it the northern occupied Kherson region. A Russian checkpoint gets attacked by 4 Ukrainian munition. They're basically FPV kamikaze drones, one after the other. And what do we got to do here? Mute it. And so this is the checkpoint right here. And it looks like these drones keep coming in the same angle. So if you weren't paying attention, you might think, oh, it's just the same one over and over again. It's not. It's actually multiple drones. You can see at the end, they each kind of hit in a different place. So that was top of the truck. And then this one kind of bounces off the ground. And then this one hits the very front of it. And then the fourth one here is doing some observation. And you can see there's a good amount of smoke. So pretty cool. And wow, like how many drones do the Ukrainians have that they can just put one after the other FPVs into the same target? Next up, Ukrainian suicide drone hits a Russian surveillance equipment, possibly a Murom M north of Oleshki. And also, this is directly across the Dnipro. And this is an interesting. So the belief is that this is. Oops, I had the wrong one lined up there. The belief is this is an electronic monitoring station aimed towards Odessa. No, sorry, Kherson, the right side of the Dnipro. And I'm going to risk it. Where is my volume? I don't think there is volume on this one. So it's basically an electronic. It's like a stand with the electronic eye, etc. on the top of the stand, and you see there stand, and then there's the surveillance equipment aimed back towards us. Okay, and then I'm going to flip to the next one. And so now you see the system aimed that way down the road. So basically, instead of having this manned by people or whatever, what they've got is an electronic system here. I would assume it's at least a camera, could be night vision, could be thermal, etc. And it's basically looking across what appears to be a bridge at this checkpoint. And it'll notify them if it sees any motion. And you're going to see a drone come flying along. See it right there? And wow, for such a little drone, I mean, it hit it hard and took the bottom out and just basically ruined it. One more time, boom. And that's a small, fast-moving drone. But anyways, pretty interesting. And it makes you wonder, and of course, you never want the enemy to have surveillance on you. But when you see a couple of things like that going on, you start to wonder: are they starting to remove the eyes and the ears of the Russians ahead of something else, or is it just a target of opportunity? So moving on into the Zaporizhzhia Oblast, Ukrainian shelling of a position east of Pokrovsk, reportedly a Russian 203 millimeter self-propelled 2S7 Peon gets destroyed. Man, with the naming convention on these guys sometimes. Oh, Jesus. Sorry about that. So I'm going to leave that muted. YouTube is really, really cracking down on copyright. So, like, literally, it used to be you could run the odd song here and there, and you could run most songs for 8 seconds. Sometimes 8 seconds isn't even good enough now. They'll get you. But here we go. Oh, I thought I muted that. So it's not a close-up video. I don't think we see anything closer, but that's a peon, and that's basically one of the largest artillery pieces that the Russians have. So when you see 28, 29, 30, 38 artillery pieces being taken out every single day, that's what they're doing. They're using counter battery radar. They're using probably Western intelligence. There it is again. That's actually. So that, to me, if you watch the explosion, if you watch the spread, let's see. Trying to always figure out if it's one of those HIMARS with the tungsten chunks. And so that hits the peon, and basically you can see the earth being brought up all the way around here through the trees or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and pretty much guess that that's one of the HIMARS with the tungsten fragments in it, because to be able to hit that and then go through that line of trees and not knock them all over, but fragments are going through, and that kind of a spread, probably. Anyways, moving on to our next one. Let's close that down. And I don't know if you all can hear my dog snoring, but he's snoring. A Russian BM-21 Grad destroyed, and this is a duplicate. I know I've got this coming up again in another clip. Somebody's geolocated it wrong, because I've been given 2 geolocations, and they're not obviously both correct. So let's test out. I'm not sure if this is the montage or if this is just the one. Some of the videos that I got my hands on tonight, they were a little bit messy as far as the titles not matching what was going on. Oh, can't do it. So there it is, BM-21 Grad. And again, my HIMARS speculation. I really wish we could zoom in and see this beforehand, but watch the accuracy and watch the spread. Because if you guys remember, the Kalibr, when something like the Kalibr hits, it's extremely accurate, but it doesn't have a very large spread. So basically, it hits. It looks like maybe a 10, 15 meter sort of plume, a blue, gray, black jet of smoke is in the center, and then a sort of a standard plume around the outside, and that's it. When you see the HIMARS, it's there's HIMARS that are sort of high explosive. They also don't have a massive spread, but they have a very large impact. And then they've got the tungsten ones, the anti-personnel, anti-equipment ones that basically hit all of the dirt all around, and they will also blow things up, but there's usually a little bit of a delay when something cooks off. So that one, to me, I don't know. That could just be the concussive blast that's moving all that stuff back, but that is a really, really good spread. Anyways, that's just huge. And if that truly was a BM-21 Grad, they typically... Is that ammo? That looks like a bunch of ammo set off to the side, because that's catching. Oh, and we got a runner. I didn't see that guy before. Is there somebody running for the woods? It's amazing you can watch a video too. Oh, so it is a Grad. See that? So the Grads are famous. If you don't completely detonate them right off the bat, the Grads are famous if they get a little bit of a cooking fire. Any of the missiles that aren't destroyed in the initial hit will start to fire off. And you do not want to stand near one of these things when it's cooking off like that. Looks like we just got the one. No. That is definitely ammo over there. It's too bad it didn't catch. Could be spent, but I don't think it's spent, because the Russians usually just throw spent boxes and shells and that sort of stuff. They just basically throw it around. They don't stack it neatly. So that still ramping up. Something's burning over here too. Oh, there goes another one. looks like something's cooking over here, something's cooking over there a little bit. It could just be the forest. There could be some ammo trying to catch, but it didn't. Anyways, there you go. Anybody who's watching, by the way, I always forget to say this. I really should say it more often, but if you could please like, definitely subscribe, share, comment, let me know, say hi, let me know where you're from, let me know what you want to see as far as like content, focus on different things, that sort of stuff. I'd love to hear from anybody and everybody. Next up, I can't show that one. Sorry, I meant to delete that one. That's not safe for work. Northeast of Nova Prokopivka, 1.3 kilometers northwest. The 82nd Air Assault Brigade's Wild Division drone team carry out a seemingly successful FPV drone strike. An accumulation of Russian ammo smokes and burns. God, why? Jonathan M.S. Pierce, he's always blowing his own eardrums out, and then I'm like, oh, I won't do that. Yeah. It's such a great intro. That is, so there's your typical Russian stacking job. Like the wooden cases that these guys all came in. This is actually fairly neat. I've seen worse. But it looks like they've got either ammo or spent shells over here. Probably, that looks pretty stacked. So I'm going to say ammo, and then all of the boxes. And even if this is considered neat, it's visible, it's out in the open, to the elements. First of all, nobody recommends leaving shells out in the rain, hot, cold, etc. But on top of that, how easy it is it to pick these guys out from miles away. I mean, satellites could pick them out, let alone drones. And I love the front of these drones. So these are basically the impact sensors. They cross them over, they curl them like, like a bee's antennas or something like that. And it's kind of funny. It reminds me, my daughter and I made a robot, a little solar-powered robot, battery and solar-powered robot, and we curled the front antennas like that. And anytime it was like a little bug, right? And anytime it walked and it ran into something, these things would hit the surface, and it would tell the bug to change directions, and it constantly did that. In this case, these things are basically crossed over like that, and they're meant to be the kind of detonator, so the fuse detonator, we want to call them. So when they impact something, they'll detonate while they're still maybe a little bit of a distance, or maybe it's just to ensure that they detonate. But anyways, and backing up and taking another shot, and there you go. We don't see any large explosion or cook-off. It's just basically a smoldering fire. Now what can happen sometimes is those drones that are, so you've got your FPV drone that gives you the first person view as it attacks and it hits. Sometimes you have an observation drone, and then you always wonder, why is the observation drone, why is the video cut out, or why does it change angles or whatever. Sometimes it's because of the fact that the drone that's observing, it's out of battery. So it's got to return to base, and then they send another one out, and that's why you'll sometimes see those jump cuts. Unlike the Russians, when you see the jump cuts, it's typically because it's been doctored. 2 tanks of the 116th engaged Russian positions near Novoprokopivka. I showed this one yesterday. I want to show it again. Why? Because it's possibly the best tank tactic video I've seen in the war. Where now I saw one where they cleared that Cyclops trench, and that was kind of good. But in that case, the two tanks basically separated by like a quarter mile or whatever and took on two different objectives. In this one, these two tanks are basically like hand in glove. They follow each other, they cover for each other. One aims to the left, one aims straight, that sort of thing. You're gonna see the one, especially the lead tank. I don't know what his tank is made of, but he runs over at least one, if not two, mines. They look either big for anti-personnel or small for anti-tank, but either way, he runs them over and then just keeps on chugging. Gets missed by an ATGM, gets missed by a Lancet. So these guys are lucky and they're good. And so I think they're basically just going in here to clean house. They're going in, they've each got 22 rounds. They're going to go in there. They're going to blaze a path, make sure they get most of the ammo or the mines, whatever, cleared, especially the anti-personnel mines. They're blasting tree lines to see if they can get any trench networks and that sort of thing, any possible hiding places or ones that they know that they saw in thermal. So anyways, here's the video. And if I had a tank video hall of fame, this would be first entry.
Уникальное видео работы наших танкистов.
First
Ярко,
guy's leading in.
красочно. По ним работает Ланцет, промахивается, по ним работает Тур и тоже неудачно. В общем, очень круто, всем рекомендую.
And again, what I kind of pointed out yesterday. So here's his buddy. He's following, right? So it cuts through the tree line and cuts right down the side of the tree line. And I do not know if this has been demined. I said yesterday as well, I don't think it has been. It doesn't look like it. But at the same time, these guys seem pretty confident in what they're doing and where they're going. You don't typically drive a tank blind into what is a very, very dense windbreak tree line. Potentially with, the enemy could be anywhere in here, looking to get yourself detracked or worse. So I wish I knew the intelligence behind it, but anyways.
Какие стальные машины и водители.
And to me, that is just a safety shot. Like, I don't think that there was a specific trench network or a target in there because he didn't stop. It almost seemed like he believed that there was a potential for something there, or was particularly dense underbrush, and said, what the heck, I'm just going to give her a shot, because he doesn't stop.
Экипажи с остальными яйцами в этих танках.
And there it is. So watch what this guy, I think it's two. I think there is a mine on the left track and a mine on the right track. There's one and there's two. See how they're separated? And the width of them, it looks to me like somebody put them in the tracks. And so I was thinking when I first saw that, okay, so this tank's going to stop. These guys are going to get out. The other tank's going to come and help because this guy's lost one or two tracks. And then he just levels up and powers through. Just powers through like it didn't even happen. And then again, another one of those sort of safety shots into the woods. Here comes the second guy. This guy's firing left. Now, the guy behind is watching the lead, watching ahead of them. Straight shot right through what's just dense brush, looks like. Shot off to the left. And this is one of my favorite shots right here. So this guy is basically looking forward. He's offset of the tank just a bit. He's looking forward to see what's coming up here. This guy is trusting him to do that, and his job is to watch the flank over here, looking at a 45-degree angle. So it's teamwork and it's trust. You look, they've both got their line of observation, line of fire. Both firing at the same time in completely different directions. Okay, so he stops and fires. He hangs right on the road. This guy fires just ahead of him over here. Now he's looking to the other. He's looking to the left again, and that guy's the rear is back to looking straight. He sees something to make him stop and back up, and there goes the ATGM right across their backside. And there is the culprit right there. There's where the ATGM, I think it was a Cornet, came from right there. So this drone operator spots him and calls that in. Somebody who knows the translation of this said he was calling in an artillery strike on that position. And here comes the Lancet, and he starts screaming into the tank, Lancet, Lancet. Not that there's anything a tank can do, but... So here's the tank right here. See it right there? Smoke coming out the back. He puts out a smoke screen. And boom. And I still want to know what that was. I've looked at this so many times. I think somebody shoots at that Lancet and misses. That to me looks like somebody's firing at the Lancet and misses it. But anyways, Lancet just goes long, just misses the tank. And then there's the artillery strike on the Lancet culprit. Talk about combined arms, right? You've got an observation drone. You've got artillery ready to go. You've got a couple of tank operators, tank crews. It's fantastic. Anyways, great video. I truly love to see that coordination, that training, that intelligence, that calmness that goes into something like that, because it's easy to panic, and it's easy to kind of, you know, drive off track or turn around or do a UE, and you know, and then one of the tanks is detracked, and then, you know, the Lancet hits people that are out of the tank, and you know, it could have gone sideways. So it was so well executed. Anyways, enough fanboy for me. Ukrainian military personnel from the 129th Territorial Defense Brigade and 55 Separate Artillery Brigade destroyed the Russian 152 millimeter self-propelled guns, the 2C-19 Misseles, in the southern direction. I cannot tell you how many dozens of Misseles I've seen destroyed over this conflict. I saw 5 Misseles destroyed in one field in 1 hour a few weeks back. Anyways, so I think that's the Misseles down there. Oh, jeez. And it kind of looks like the Paladin. It looks a little beefy or whatever. It has got paper thin armor. When these guys get hit, they used to get... And so there's the strike, and you just look at the... This was an interesting one, right? Like if it was more circular, I'd say HIMARS for sure. Probably still is a HIMARS, but the accuracy was impressive. But it's basically a straight line, and it's not like it came from one direction to the other. The straight line appears all at once. And there's not really much of a circle. I've never seen, I still say it's the HIMARS, but just the impact is interesting. Let's make sure this is still, yeah. So there it goes. Very good smoke show. And then I think, am I remembering correctly? I think he drives away. Yeah, he's on fire, but he's trying to drive. Is that, am I right? Or did he just stop? Oh, maybe I'm thinking another Mista. No, that one needs to stand, I think. There's another Mista that drives, and I'm like, I'm loyal to your country and everything, but if I'm in a Mista and it gets hit and it's starting to smoke, I'm getting out of there, because it's loaded with ammo. Look at that mushroom cloud. It's loaded with ammo, and there's no fire extinguishers. You're not putting it out. So time to abandon ship. And there's the aftermath. basically cooked to the ground. Like that's not recognizable. Anyways, let's be able to click on this. Kremenchuk, Donetsk Oblast. The Russian tank gets hit by a Ukrainian drone with the name Hortvarta, which is the Shadow drone series. I didn't know we were starting to name drones, but here we are. Let's expand this. I do love these FPV drone operators and how crazy they fly these things, and sometimes when they miss their target, they just spin around midair, go back and get it. So that one was kind of like a buzz, like, oh, I've got a target there. Turns around, puts the brakes on instantly, and then just lines her up. And see as well, I talked about that last drone. It's got the two metal prongs that crossed over to allow it to detonate. These probes, you want to call them, whatever, impact antenna. They're also sticking out, just different kinds. They look like little suckers, but so I think the first one already hit. That's the second one. Oh, so you see there's the Deep Pickham's dual purpose cluster munitions. You see them all go off there. So much better at night or with thermals or whatever. But so it's going to, I'm not sure where the center point is, but looks like this might be the center right here. It's hard to tell, but so these cluster munitions land all around here and start shooting fragments everywhere, some of which you can't really see. There's a couple of crew. They're totally healthy and happy, and they run off in the distance. No worries there. And there's another one. See, there's somewhere the center here. See this cluster munition right here? They all landed in there and basically peppered the woods and surrounding area with cluster. And one of them set off the artillery, and here comes another FPV, and bang, direct hit right into the cope cage on top.
A few moments later.
She's lit.
Нравится, як воно горить.
I don't know what the guy said, but I just watched that video a couple times, so I knew that was coming. And here's the montage. What is this one? I don't know what we're hitting now. Oh, you know what? I'm going to stop it there. There's some crew that are around there, but a few more. Actually, let me just... Oh, I want to show this one. I think I want to show this one. The power lines. Okay, this is the one. So there are 3 power lines going across between these poles. Watch what this drone operator does, probably by accident. So he misses, and then he swings up in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, power lines. He's in the power lines. Turns on his side, and he's got one below, one beside him, and then goes over top of them. Maybe it's only 3. Maybe it's just a bad picture. But anyways, I just thought that was crazy. Like, that guy would have got laughed at if he lost his drone in the lines. But somehow, some way, he didn't clip them. Anyways, next up. Oh, this might be the duplicate. Russian MTLB destroyed. I think this might... Is this the duplicate from before I told you about? Oh, it's Telegram too. I don't think it's going to load. These ones, some of these, the way they open up are just, no. Moving right along. Pretend it never happened. That's why I always try to get the Twitter links. They're much better. They don't go cookie on me. I thought this was funny. So one of the one of the OGs out there as far as content providers is Perun. And this particular group is called the Perun Group. Unit of the 79th Airborne Brigade used a FPV kamikaze drone to destroy Russian equipment. The tank was damaged and the crew ran away. So it's not Perun, but basically I just thought the name was great. And maybe sometime I'll put on some background music for these interludes. So there's the BMP. BMP? BMD and BMP always throw me off. And clean hit in the gas tank. And then there is a T, what is that? Was that T-72? Did they identify it? It's T-series, but looks like a T-72, but boom. So these guys are, I mean, these cope cages, they might help for some small things. They might help with a cluster munition over top of you or something like that, but the FPV drone operators, they don't hit those cope cages. They're always coming in lower than them anyways. I don't know. I don't really see the value in those. Maybe against, like, for the Ukrainians to use those cope cages, if they're bigger, it might protect you against Lancets, because Lancets are not as maneuverable as they're coming in on a target. That's my only thought, is where it might be valuable. Anyways. Next up, we have a Russian T-72B3 damaged. This isn't the same one, is it? Oh my god. I grabbed the Telegram link again. I apologize. This one I think is going to work though. Yeah. And I think this might be a duplicate. Let's see. Twitter just always loads so fast for me. Whereas this, it's hit and miss. I thought I had expand the screen and I didn't. Come on. There it is. Oh, good one. I was trying to pause that for you so you could see that cage, if it's got one. Anyways, sorry for the video quality, guys, and the bad links. I almost always put Twitter links in those, and I'm not sure what happened there, but Russian shelling with incendiary munitions in the vicinity of the southern Krasnoyarivka. So this is really unfortunate. This is daytime. White phosphorus. So you can hear it. Those are blowing up in the air. And you hear that whizzing sound? That's the submunitions from the white phosphorus rounds exiting the main cartridge, the main carrying case, and then busting into thousands of smaller ones. That's what that burning, whistling sound is. See all the, if it was nighttime, you'd see the murder sparkles a lot better, but there they are, all clustered up and falling, and they're meant to burn, not go out easy, set things on fire. Looks like snow almost. That's what the Russians do. Residential area, they don't care. They'll just burn everything. There's another one coming up. They continued this into the night as well. And Ronnie from Funker 530 has gone into this in great detail, and there's so many gray areas for this type of munition. It has to be ground launched. You have to have done your due diligence and made the best effort to ensure that it's not hitting civilians. It's only military targets. There's some other rules around whether the person can be killed by the actual phosphorus or they can be killed by the explosion or whatever. I don't know. It's just ridiculous, to be honest with you. Next up, point of view, smoke rising in various places in Donetsk. So you remember yesterday that the Ukrainians made some serious inroads into Opitny, Klivchivka, Mariivka, and started to approach the Donetsk airport. And now we're seeing video of smoke. In Donetsk.
Центр Донецка.
Southern Donetsk? Is that what he just said? Suntan? I don't know.
Центр Донецка.
Almost sounds like Southern Donetsk. It's something Donetsk, anyways, that he's saying. And then there's this one. So it's a similar view. That is the same view.
Центр Донецка.
Sorry. And then there's this one from another balcony. And you don't hear any shells, you don't hear firing, anything like that. This seems to be artillery strikes. I don't think it's drone strikes, but they're quite large. But anyways, it's just pure guess on my part. And then next up, I think I've got a couple more angles for you. Yeah. So I'll let that play again. So you can see a strike over there, strike there, strike there. Another one there. All at the same time, another one there. I mean, the Ukrainians don't fire MLRS into residential areas. So I don't know. Those just look like targeted strikes. I'm not sure what they hit, but there you go. And I think, did I get one more angle for you?
17:50. Только что прилет. Судя по всему, град. Дым начинает Бакин. И по Богдана.
Yeah, it's a better view of the strikes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Как всегда, полпакета.
6 or 7 strikes. And
18:50.
who knows? It could have been all Excaliburs directly on located military targets. For all we know, it could have been drone strikes. It's impossible to tell. Moving right on. Next up, we have explosions / fire in Horlovika. Probably butchered that one. This one's still frame. Yeah, so good puff of black smoke. No idea. Pure speculation on what that is, but half decent hit. Something oil gas related, you'd think. Rubber, whatever, when it's that black, but it's not really burning off that much. But it is in currently occupied territory. And then we have the Ukrainian Rarog drone group of the 24th Mechanized Brigade uses a suicide drone to hit Russian positions northwest of Horlivka. Reportedly, a Credo M1 radar system gets destroyed. Dang. Oh yeah, so this is interesting. This to me, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever been in like by a firefighting training school, that sort of thing. This almost reminds me of one of those concrete fire towers that you constantly light up. But anyways, I wish I could speak Cyrillic, but I don't. So, looks like what used to be either an old apartment building or a building that was under construction. Great place for a sniper's nest, observation tower, etc. Is that someone in the window? Oh, I think that was someone in the window. See if this guy moves. See if this thing moves. Yes, it moves. And boom. So they may have had some electronic equipment in there and they think they've got it. I don't know. Unconfirmed, but I'm sure they would have loved to have got in the window, or maybe they wanted to hit the window frame to ensure that it detonated properly. Ukrainian rocket GMLRS destroyed the Russian launcher of the MLRS N9K55 Grad 1 near, just say Grad. My God, these alphanumeric names. Why can't you just be like the Americans and say it's a freaking paladin or something? But anyways, oh yeah, that's it. So this is another one of those. That's the same as the last one. Remember the last one we saw in the trees too? So maybe it's a HIMARS, and maybe it's got a certain spread, because it's circular here and then that's straight out that way and straight out that way, as opposed to, you know, even all the way around. Anyways. Very white puff of smoke in the middle, almost telling me some ammo went off. Oh, and those, at least all those guys are okay. Everybody's fine. YouTube sensors, nobody's hurt. This guy's just going back to pick up his wallet. These guys are all on their feet. They're good. He's got his wallet. Now he's coming too. Life is good. I hope. And what's going on with your grad? So that's basically, yeah, that's like a BM1. That's like that old, not Kamaz Ural truck with the grad rockets on the back. They've got thousands of these things, or they had thousands of these things. And there's the ammo. So the trucks are right off. The ammo's a write off. All good. Yeah. Almost seems like a shame to waste such an expensive rocket on that, but it's better that those grad missiles don't land somewhere else. Ukraine drone drops smoke markers. Oh, I think I left this one in by accident. This might not even be a video, is it? Is this it? I don't want. Yes. So they're basically dropping a smoke marker, and I'm going to end that right there, and then that smoke is going to be used for targeting. Brilliant. Detonation of a Russian mortar ammunition after a brilliant hit by a cluster munition in the area of the settlement of Odradivka. This might be the one. This might be the duplicate. No. Oh, okay. So really, really cool timing. So in yesterday's stream, I talked about the fact that, and this looks like the same road, but it might not be, but I talked about the fact that they were using thermals, night vision thermals, and that the anti-tank mines retain their heat longer than the earth around them do. So if you put a drone up with a thermal camera, either at night or in the morning, at night is great, and you've got the white hot on, then the anti-tank mines are visible in the ground, even though they're buried in the ground. They're visible because the earth around them cools, and the solid anti-tank mines hold their heat longer. And in yesterday's video, we saw numerous cluster munitions being dropped in this roadway. And I was saying I didn't see any personnel and I didn't see any equipment, so I was wondering if they were using those cluster munitions to try to mine clear the road. And then I didn't see any large explosion. In this one, you see cluster munitions land, and you see a either an IED or an anti-tank mine go off. So watch to the right. Oh god, dang it! How's that go to full volume? Sorry. So did you see that? You gotta watch it real close. I'm gonna back this up. So you're gonna see the cluster munitions start to sprinkle here, and when one hits right there, it sets off the mine. Boom. And that looked exceptionally large. Like, I don't know if that was a stacked two stacked anti-tank mine, or if that was an IED, like a shell or something like that, but that looked very, very large. I mean, normally you see them go off under a tank, so you don't quite see the full explosion, but I've seen the anti-tank mines go off without a tank on top of them, and I don't recall one single mine making an explosion that large. But either way, really cool. And that's what happens when you have an excess amount of cluster munitions. You can use them for something like that. The Ukrainian military destroyed a Russian T-80BV tank near the village of Zaitsev. Oh yes, we know Zaitsev. Used to be a defenseman in the NHL. Still is, actually. Okay, so there's your tank. Let's see. And I think she's loaded up with a massive cope cage and some foliage. What's going on here? Damn, that looks like a garbage truck. You can't, like, what has he got on top? I wish I could see a camera shot up close. But he looks like he's got everything in the kitchen sink. He's like, you are not destroying me. I'm carrying a mountain on top of my tank. My fuel efficiency sucks, but nothing can stop me. And then he parks in the woods, and then boom, gets hit. And now he's smoking, and now these guys are like, oh man, we put all this work. Grab the dog. Get your stuff. Actually, they look like they're trying to put the fire out, and then he realizes it ain't happening. And then they book. And they grab the dog, and they come back down the way they came. Hang a left when they realized they were going the wrong way. And one more for good measure, right through the cope stuff. And then these guys come back. Why would you return to this? You know it's going to be hit again and it's cooking off. But anyways, they just don't want to give up on their hard work. They put a lot of work into that cope cage. Oh my God, a third visit. You're not putting the fire out, Chuck. He's bound and determined to save that tank. Now he's done. And I think another shell's coming in if I remember. Or is it a drone? No. Oh, there's cluster. That's what happens when you hang around that long. They start dropping cluster munitions on you. 3 men and a dog go running away. Funny, that is their tank crew, so that's 3. 4. And there she goes. She's cooking now. Oh, a tank. What tank doing? Is that what that said? I don't know. Probably the thickest, deepest, most camouflaged cope cage I've ever seen on a tank. It's pretty good. And that's what's left afterwards. Looks like another shell hit. It definitely burned off all the forest around it. So, we're getting there. Getting there. A few more. Russian drone. No, I can't do those. Russia. I was supposed to delete all those. I apologize. I left some in by accident, and I was supposed to have deleted those. I apologize. I know some of them were not safe for work. Several powerful explosions were heard in Buzboy. Anyways, I didn't have a video for that. I left that in as a marker in case I could find a video for it. Crimea Forest, Russians using the incendiary munition on, so those same phosphorus ones that we saw during the day, this is them at night. And they're beautiful if they're not so deadly. Looks like something out of Avatar. Yeah. That's our Russian friends for you. No concerns for nature, life, anything. A Russian artillery position gets shelled by the Ukrainian 40th Artillery Brigade, based on images by the 45th. No, not going to do it. Ukraine firing off, and boom, there's the hit. I can't remember. They hit in a grad? No. And not to complain too much, but you'll see with these drones, there's a couple of drones the Ukrainians use, and they're great for sort of long distance observation. When they try to get up close, because of the way that the gimbal on it works and how fast the drone is moving, if they try to zoom in to get you a clear picture, then all of a sudden the gimbal can't keep up with the speed of the drone, and they've got to keep on adjusting it. So there's what's left of the artillery piece. That's a completely separate one. Different location, different hit. I don't recall this one. Anyways, that is that. Moving on up. A Russian 2S9 missed the S that appears already damaged is hit by Ukrainian suicide kamikaze drone and can later be seen exploding. Okay. Well, why did the volume go up when I did that? So, this is what I was talking about before. There's been a lot of missed S's that have been hit, and you double tap them. So you send 2 drones in, one shortly after the other one. The first one penetrates what's really the thin skin, and then the second one hits inside and ignites the ammunition. And when they go off like a T-72. Like, they don't mess around. So it's already been hit. I can't remember if it gets hit again or if no, it just goes. And like, there's nothing left. It's not like just the turret comes off or whatever. Those things disintegrate. So there was the original hit that started it smoking, I think. And here's the second one, the double tap that I talked about. Boom, same spot. And she gone. Like, that just comes apart. you can't even tell what that is anymore at that point. It's just looks like a charcoal. Anyways, 1, 2, 3. What do we have? 3 more. Oh, we've got Poland too. I didn't do Poland yet. Poland's a really quick one, but Ukrainian First Separate Special Purpose Brigade shells Russian equipment, reportedly a 289 Veselek automatic 82 millimeter mortar mounted on a Ural truck, and ammo were destroyed. How's that for a mouthful? I really wish they wouldn't put. Okay, so there's our Huckleberry, and it gets struck by something. It's starting to smoke. I can't remember how this one ends. It's a good cook-off, but it's starting to flare up a bit more. I don't think we get a doozy out of this one. I think it just burns. A couple more flares, some little bits of ammo. You see the nice white puffs. That's ammo going off. Nothing nuclear. And that is the end of that one. One less piece of artillery to worry about. It's the 82 millimeter mortars. They're a pain. They fire so much. Air Defense Act. Oh no, that's just Ukraine's air defense alarms active. Nothing to see. And this one is an airstrike in the vicinity of Manavika. No, that's verbiage. Sorry, didn't do my best job cleaning that up. Okay, last piece of news from Poland. Really, really cool. I gotta close down a bunch of these windows because there's something I want to show you. And what I will say is Ukraine has. Oh yeah, I'll do the. Let me do Deep State first. So, little rant and rave about Deep State. So, Deep State, it's a beautiful map. It's very interactive. You can put up, like the strikes, the striking distance of different types of ammunition, that sort of thing. You've got your fortifications, which is beautiful. You can put up all the little orcs, which is fine and great. Shows the placement. You can even go back in time and see what's happened. The problem is that Deep State is purposely so out of date. For example, where are we? I want to show you what happened yesterday. Donetsk. And Vasiliv. Opitny. Okay, so if you guys remember, look, I'm going to go backwards a day and then to today. 100% for sure. Multiple towns were either entered, taken over, pushed, whatever, along this front especially. The Ukrainians, multiple sources, video located, everything, showed them in Opitny and moving towards the Donetsk International Airport. Is that it right there? No. Where is... It's only a couple kilometers. I swear to God it's right here. Anyways, it showed the Ukrainian forces enter into 3 different towns and start to pressure the Donetsk International Airport. And the Deep State shows no movement anywhere from anybody. They're usually 24, 48, sometimes 72 hours out of date before they'll show the smallest movement. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that I do actually focus on Deep State once in a while. It's a beautiful interactive map, but the one problem is they're the most tentative on showing any sort of progress. And you can see looking all along here, like focus over here, nothing at all. And there has been movement. Small as it might be, they're not marking it at all. They're just basically waiting like, oh my God, we can't show it unless it's 72 hours old or 48 hours old. So it gets a little annoying. But anyways, over here, Poland. What air defense doing? A lot. This is crazy. So Poland is going to, the State Department has approved a possible foreign military sale to Poland of IAMD IBCS equipment for an estimated cost of $4 billion. It includes 93 engagement operations centers and 175 integrated fire control network relays. And you may be saying, what's a fire control network relay? Like, who cares? This is possibly the most important piece of kit that the Ukrainians ever received. This is basically like, what's a good example? Like a Lego set that fits everything, or a Lego piece that fits something. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's basically like it can pull in. So the full architecture of these systems, when you put them together, one's for the radars, one's for the missiles, I believe is the way it works. And if you look across the board, everything, there's THAAD, there's AWACS, there's Aegis, that's the most advanced air defense system in the world on a ship. RAD-C, SAD-C, more Aegis there, Patriot, Sentinel, RIU, there's IFCN, there's so many other ones. So basically what these two systems do is they can basically take almost anything from a Gepard to a THAAD to a NASAMS to a SAMTIS to an IRIS to you name it, and basically turns into the brains of the operation, and it will basically integrate and control every single piece of radar and every single piece of anti-aircraft systems that you have out there. Bad English, but and it will basically in real time, almost like AI, it will assess every single threat coming into your airspace, from the smallest drone to a Kinjal missile. And it will basically look at the assets that it has available to it, and then it will choose which assets to direct towards that particular threat. And it may put multiple ones, and it may say that, like, I've only got 3 NASAMS, and that's a Kinjal, and the NASAMS typically one can't take out a Kinjal, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct all 3 of them to fire at a certain spot. It's so intelligent. The Ukrainians have a couple of these systems already, command and control. I believe it's in and around the Kyiv area. And it's integrated. Their SAMTs, there's NASAMs, their Patriots, and all the other ones. So here's the Northrop Grumman, the IBCS Engagement Operations Center. It basically it's an open, modular, and scalable architecture that is foundational in integrating all available assets in the battle space, regardless of source, service, or domain. Its architecture enables the efficient and affordable integration of current and future systems. Through numerous successful tests and demonstrations, IBCS has validated the ability to connect and fuse multi-service sensor data to multi-service weapons, demonstrating joint air defense capabilities too. I think it's JADC2. For more information about Northrop Grumman in Poland and how IBS is blah, blah, blah. And then the last one is the IBS functions and features. Enables revolutionary and battle survivable any sensor best effector operators by fusing information from multiple disparate sensors to create a single integrated air picture and employing all available effectors to defeat advancing air threats. And like you could just go into details here, like you're talking satellite input, drones, planes, ground-based sensors, ground-based radars. There's your shooters, mass, ships, shooters, planes, everything. Basically integrates the entire battlefield and basically says, what do I got? What's coming? What do I need to take out? Anyways, it's and there's the kind of the life cycle development curve of the, and like they're so nerdy, they're so boring for most people. But I'm telling you right now, the reason why Kyiv has basically an iron dome over it is because of that system. It's very easy. Well, not very easy. It's possible. It's you can operate the Patriot missile system in a silo, and then you can operate NASAMS in a silo, and then SAMT, and then Iris, and then Gepards, and then whatever other systems there are out there. I know I'm forgetting a couple of the big ones, and each one of them can be operated on their own, and they've got their own layer space. But when you have an intelligent system like that, that basically says, don't you dare fire a NASAMS at that incoming missile. That's a Shaheed, or that's a slow moving cruise missile. We're going to task a Gepard for that, or we're going to task something smaller for that. We're going to save the big missiles, the good missiles, for the big threats. Same thing when it's when it has a Kinjal coming in at high speed. It's going to basically say, okay, the Patriot, I'm not. Your number one job is that Kinjal, and maybe the NASAMS. You're going to back up the Patriot. You're going to go after the Kinjal as well. Even though there's other smaller threats out there, I'm going to task something else to go after those threats. You two got the Kinjal. That's a really rudimentary way of talking about it, but that's exactly what happens. And again, Poland is buying 93 and 175. 93 of the engagement operations centers and 175 of the integrated fire control networks. They're going to have the most secure border airspace on the planet. They're going to make Israel's Iron Dome look porous. It's going to be crazy. Anyways, very, very cool. And Ukraine is lucky to have such a great neighbor that politically may be dodgy, but militarily they got their back. New Zealand's charity, the Kiwi Care, provided 7 ambulances, which will help rescue lives in Ukraine. Thank you for your support. So this kind of reminded me of the Artur Rehi, Mercado Media, Georgie from Ukraine Matters. They're doing the NAFO sniffing brigade vehicles, and they're all camoed up and being delivered to different units. This is not them, but it just reminded me of them. These ambulances are cool. Not that you want to use an ambulance, but they look pretty rugged. I don't know if they've been up armored at all, or if it's just the green camos throwing me off, but they look a little thick on the back end, but maybe that's just the camo. They're good looking ambulances, and it's a great thing to see these Mercedes ambulances being donated. And there's I'm assuming, is that the recipients? I'm assuming that's the recipients. I'm assuming this is in Kyiv, and those are the recipients that got the Kiwi Care. That's a great name too, Kiwi Care, right? Second last, Reuters, Biden administration close to approving cluster munitions for Ukraine. And you're like, wait a second, they've already got cluster munitions. These are the Gimler's cluster munitions. These are badass. 1 second. The Biden administration is close to authorizing the shipment of longer-range missiles packed with cluster bombs to Ukraine. Reuters reported. Where did I have? No, let Let me go back there. Second link. The Biden administration is close to approving a shipment of longer-range missiles packed with cluster bombs to Ukraine, giving Kyiv the ability to cause significant damage deeper within Russian-occupied territory, according to 4 U.S. officials. After seeing the successful cluster munitions delivered in the 155, so those are 155 millimeter artillery shells. They're not rocket assisted. They're gonna go probably 28 miles. So they're short distance cluster munitions that they currently have, and they're working smashingly. And those are the Pickums. The U.S. is considering shipping either or both ATACMs, which 100% they're gonna be. I'm like dead sure that ATACMs are coming now, and those are not cluster. ATACMs is basically like anti-building. They can fly up to 190 miles, 306 kilometers, or guided multiple launch rocket system missiles with 45-mile range packed with cluster bombs. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I meant to do this. Gimler's cluster munition rocket. See if anything comes up. Alternate warhead, is that it? You know what I want? Bear with me, we're almost done. Sorry, guys. YouTube. Come on. No, I didn't type in Jake, bro. You legit saw. Paste. Thank you. The heck. Here we go. That's what I want to show you guys.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and exclusive access to all things VIP.
Russia still learns slowly after troop formation got hit by a HIMARS strike on the Jerry Lutch Island, taking out a large number of troops with equipment. Now Russia has a training camp around 10 kilometers from the island, even closer towards Ukraine's position, while not as big.
That's not what I wanted. That's an actual hit. Okay, this is the tungsten one, but they've already got this one, I think. I know they do.
HIMARS has been a game changer.
This guy again.
Ukraine has used the system in ways not imagined, which has resulted in an even more effective usage. While MLRS and also later HIMARS was first developed to shoot MLRS ammunition.
I'm gonna give up. Anyways, I'll find it for a future video, but there is a video out there with the Gimler's long-range missile and the explosive munitions that it releases, not the tungsten one, because the tungsten they've already got. They've also got the high explosive standard one. They do not have the basically cluster munitions for HIMARS. They don't have that yet, and that's the one the Biden administration is thinking of. Here is a speech from President Zelensky to finish off the stream. And I apologize. It is the guy's voice that doesn't sound anything like Zelensky, but here we go.
Good health, dear Ukrainians. Today, there is good news. We are preparing to strengthen the package of defense support from Germany. Air defense systems, artillery equipment. What was agreed upon with Chancellor Scholz. What was discussed today with German Minister of Foreign Affairs Baerbock. She was on a visit to Ukraine. I met with her today in Kyiv. It's crucial that partners hear the needs of our state, our soldiers, and the protection of our energy infrastructure. I am confident there will be results. We are also making progress with our other partners, in particular regarding air defense systems. Additional systems will be in Ukraine. Today I held several important meetings. First of all, I would like to highlight the meeting with Ukraine's Defense Minister Umarov, First Deputy Minister Pavliuk, and Deputy Prime Minister Fedorov regarding the provision of our soldiers and the transparency of this provision. The specific needs of our combat brigades should be met as quickly as possible, and for this, all accounting should be digitized. In general, there should be much less paperwork in the military, and there should be no difference between what is reported here in the center and what is really needed at the front. The Ministry of Defense is currently relaunching the accounting system with assistance from the Ministry of Digital Transformation. Today I also had a meeting with representatives of the law enforcement sector. Obviously, Ukraine needs more progress in protecting the interests of society, in protection from those who prioritize their own wallet above social norms and rules, above even the war. There will be new steps of the state. And one more thing. Since this morning, various Ukrainian cities and regions have been hit by Russian attacks. Nikopol, brutal Russian shelling artillery, Ochakiv in Mykolaiv region, Kherson, and other cities and villages in Kherson region, Polohi district in Zaporizhia region, Donetsk, Pokrovsk district, Bakhmut district, Volnovakha district, and others. Kharkiv region, Chernihiv region, Sumy region, Kryvyi Rih, a missile strike. Another attack by Shaheds. Even when there is a relative peace and quiet in some parts of our territory, we should always remember our land, our cities, and villages that are almost constantly under fire. And even though today is the 565th day of this war, all of us, each and every one in Ukraine, should remain focused on defending the state just as we did in the early days. Russia does not hope to win. The enemy hopes only that we will not endure. Ukraine must endure. Anything that strengthens us is a priority, and only that is a priority. No weakening, and we won't allow anyone to weaken Ukraine. Glory to all our soldiers. Thank you to everyone who helps. Glory to Ukraine.
And there you have it. I heard someone the other day say he is Churchillian, and he absolutely has the class, the leadership, rising to the moment. He was a man made for this moment. He was not viewed as the greatest leader prior to the invasion, but from the moment that he said, "I need bullets, I don't need a ride," the true Zelensky came out, and he's just been exceptional. One of the strongest leaders, one of the strongest wartime leaders in modern history, if not history. Anyways, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Please, if you watch this, like it, subscribe for sure. I need you to subscribe right now. Share it with somebody. Tell them it's worth a watch. Give me some comments. Let me know what you want to see, and we'll talk soon. Slava Ukraine.